Our topic is hacking DDoS. So just give me some basic good advice around dealing with a DDoS attack.
Make sure that your DDoS protection is working in an automated way. Make sure that you've got good DDoS protection deployed. Make sure that it works.
All right. Now, Chris, I want you to do the opposite for me. Give me some really bad advice on how to deal with a DDoS attack.
Anytime you have a DDoS attack, just unplug the internet connection.
There you go. That won't really help at all. All right. So I'll begin with you, Matthew. What entities play a part in dealing with a distributed denial of service mitigation, not the ones who are attacking you?
So typically in a DDoS protection posture, you have your DDoS mitigation vendors. The other component is you also sometimes have testing vendors. Both of those do provide some level of protection, but the protection overall is, we see, incomplete. And you'll still be relying on a third entity, unfortunately, which is yourself, the person in charge of that network, where you may have to respond to a DDoS attack because both the DDoS mitigation vendor and testing that solution may not be enough to avoid a response scenario.
I think the one thing to add would be the service provider. A lot of times you're taking care of a network that's attached to another network, and the DDoS may need to traverse that network. And so they may have their own mitigation ahead of yours.
So currently, traditionally, what is manual, what is automatic?
A lot of it has been manual for a long time. And a lot of it's been a pretty blunt hammer as well, which is wait till you're getting attacked, try and figure out what the, manually look and see what the source of the attack is, and then block that and try to get your upstream to block it or tell your DDoS mitigation provider to block it. And a lot of times you're triggering it manually and asking them, hey, I'm under attack now, please help me, versus it all just being kind of automatic. Now, obviously that's changing. Automation's growing more and more, but for a long time, it's been very, very manual.
What about from your experience, Matthew? It's how much of the attacks are going through IoT device?
We think that definitely it is increasing because of IoT, the DDoS problem, not only taking over the IoT, but even using them. Certain attacks can be amplified against IoT devices. So you don't necessarily always have to take over the device itself. So yeah, it's playing a big part, I believe.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
Forward all incoming DDoS traffic to your competition. Why do you want to do this?
Yeah, obviously, that's a good way to deflect the DDoS from, impacting your own services while also doing the double whammy of conducting a DDoS that you didn't have to pay for on a competitor and taking them out of the game.
That is just good old-fashioned, sound, solid advice. A DDoS attack affects the entire organization. Therefore, reaction and mitigation should be handled by human resources.
This is a fantastic idea. When there is a DDoS attack, there's so many political ramifications from that attack. HR are perfectly suited to deal with this. I think because this goes on for so long, so much talking, so much organizing, this is a great idea.
If I'm looking at an ISP, what are the questions I should be asking about their DDoS protections?
I would be asking, first of all, how are they configuring the policy towards my particular environment? And how can they convince me that those protections are going to work when I actually need them? ISPs are notorious for when you do come under attack, you have very extended periods of downtime, often because it's kind of this insurance policy. And when you do get attacked, you just find out that nothing's been configured, nothing's been checked. So I would ask about that review policy.
A good question came in from Dutch Schwartz, who's with AWS. He asks, what is the one thing that enterprises should do differently in 2022 when explaining the risk of DDoS to non-security execs? Chris.
Yeah, I think, a lot about what we talked about as far as the business case applies here. So the effects of DDoS is really more important than how they work or where they're coming from. I think when you're talking about non-technical folks, just talking about, what would happen in the event of a DDoS, right? Website down, communications down, et cetera, et cetera.
Non-security execs should be getting explained, how can I quantify my risk and my ROI on what I've invested in? So you should be able to show your non-technical execs, this is my DDoS protection level, and this is what I'm doing to improve it, especially if you're spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on your protection yearly. You need to be justifying it, and you need to be checking that protection and showing that you're checking it and really showing that risk reduction. We've spoken today about how to prevent DDoS attacks and what's the best thing you can do to prevent those attacks. I think what MazeBolt offers is a way for any company to identify all of your threats, your attack surface, thousands of potential points. We identify all of them. We reduce your risk from somewhere between 30 and 40% to well under 2%. in an ongoing manner, we essentially eliminate your chance of coming down from a DDoS attack.
The impact that a DDoS attack has on you should inform you as far as what's possible in the future. And so again, going back to kind of that business case and being able to talk to the board and a lot of the things we've talked about today, you'll actually have that ammunition now to show exactly what happened, where the vulnerabilities were. Obviously, one attack isn't going to tell you the whole story, but it can at least give you some clues.